States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting, regular session, March 12th, 2024.
I'll second it.
Alderman Campbell makes a motion to approve the meetings from the previous meeting. Alderman Orge second the motion. Alderman Orge,
Yes.
Alderman Hammonds, Alderman Campbell,
Yes.
Alderman Bushman.
Yes.
Approval of the March 2024 utility adjustments, there are none. Approval of the March 2024 financials.
I'll make a motion to approve financials for
March 24th.
March 24.
Financials.
I'll second.
Alderman Orge makes a motion to approve the March 2024 financials. Alderman Bushman seconds the motion. Alderman Orge,
Yes.
Alderman Hammonds, Alderman Campbell,
Yes.
Alderman Bushman.
Yes.
The March 2024 financials have been approved.
Madam Mayor, I think she would like to know if you can turn up the volume so she can hear.
Is that better?
Is that better on that? Can you hear me in the back? Pretty well? Okay. Michael DeMay, would you
Yes.
like to come forward?
Yes, thank you. Okay. My name is Michael DeMay. My wife Marcia and I live at 206 Allspice Court in the city of Sparta. We have concerns as far as Allspice Court. We have facts, statements concerning our residents, and of course I've dated today's date of council. Marcia and I lived previously in California. Don't take that against us. This is a great state. We worked on purchasing our home in Sparta online beginning December of 2018. We were told by our realtor before we moved that Allspice Court was a city-maintained road and it would be repaved. We were assured before purchase that this would be done. The purchase was finalized and we moved to Sparta on the 2nd of April 2019, 5 years ago in 1 week. Our first stop in Sparta, around noon, prior to seeing our newly built home, was City Hall to have utilities, water, sewer, trash put in our names. Upon entering, I was greeted by, I believe it was Ellen in charge of utilities at that time. Greeted by Ellen, who was very pleasant and took care of my needs. I also met Chief of Police Francis Taylor on that very first day, who made the statement, well, that was a bold move, when I told Ellen we purchased our house online. Both were very pleasant and I felt welcome to your city. Well, we did. Our next stop was to our new home on Allspice Court to meet our realtor and receive the keys to our new home. When I turned in, I noticed the street sign and it said, Allspice Street. I remember this because I put this new address on our address labels and new checks. We also noticed that Allspice Court was in need of repair, and we again were assured by our realtor that the road would be fixed. After settling in and getting to know our new neighbors, I was able to obtain a plat map of Millbrook Terrace, Phase 2, which I'm going to present here for you to look at, in the tax record. Let's see. Millbrook Terrace, Phase 2, the sign I actually set up against the telephone pole where everybody can see it when you drive by Allspice Court. That was our development that had been duly recorded through Christian County on the 14th day of July, 2006, and approved by the Alderman, City of Sparta, and signed by the city clerk and the mayor of the city of Sparta in 2006. Apparently, from what I understand, the builder was to be responsible for the first 2 years for the road service, under which the city could contest ownership of Allspice Court, and if not contested, Allspice Court would become a city street. On the 14th day of July 2008, Allspice Court would be under City of Sparta responsibility. Within the first year of being residents of the City of Sparta, my wife Marcia and I had the opportunity to meet then Mayor Jenny Davis, who was on our front yard. In conversation with then Mayor Davis, I mentioned to her that our neighbor, who owns lot number 27 on that same plat map, had told us that his house was the first house built, and he had to put a cardboard sign at Village Drive with his address so he could receive mail. He stated that shortly after putting out the cardboard sign, a street sign appeared, Allspice Street, and then after some time it was changed to Allspice Court as it is now. My wife and I were told by Mayor Davis that if the city had put up the street sign, that the city would then be responsible for our street. But she told Marcia and I that the city didn't put up the street sign. Mayor Davis was going to look into who put up the street sign, but she never got back to us. She stated that if the city is responsible, the city would fix our street. It should be noted, the residents do not make street signs or install them. Why does our street sign look the same as all others in the city? I then mentioned to Mayor Davis of the plat map that was signed by the mayor, which you have a view there, and approved by the alderman in 2006, and she then stated that the mayor who signed it had no authority to do so. My question is, if the mayor and alderman do not have the authority to sign a legal document for the city, then who does? Also, why was the plat map accepted and recorded in Christian County? During the same time period, our builder had 4 permits through the city to finish building on Allspice Court. Our builder was unable to work with Mayor Davis to complete construction due to him having conflicts with Mayor Davis. Our builder, Travis Little, was so upset with Mayor Davis that he pulled his permits and gave up on the city of Sparta. Travis also told us that he, as a builder, has never had problems with any other cities like he has had with the city of Sparta. At that time, he had large developments in Stratford, Rogersville, and numerous other cities. He stated he was not sure if he could get the city to work with him. Note, to my knowledge, Travis still owns the land, if you're familiar with it, at the corner of Millbrook and Village Drive. Big area behind the homes there, which I believe still belongs to him. He was planning on building about 25 homes, in addition to the other 4, with the 4 that's there now. But he gave up on the city. But I think he still owns that property, and that would be nice if he could develop that. During this time of conflict between Mayor Davis and Travis Little, Mayor Davis had a sign installed under the stop sign at Allspice Court facing Village Drive that reads, "City maintenance ends here." This was done after the conflict with the builder, and why not install before this conflict? The situation has gone on for 5 years now and needs to be resolved. There are 4 homeowners in nice, well-kept homes paying taxes on Allspice Court who have been neglected since they purchased their homes and have been treated unfairly by the city. How can Allspice Court not be a city street when we have the same kind of street sign as the rest of the city, and we are located right in the center of the city? We pay taxes to the city, we have city utilities, we have cable TV and internet made available through the city. I would also like to note that Village Drive at the entrance to Allspice Court is a hazard waiting to happen. Big hole there. Not only does Allspice Court need the action that we are paying for as residents of the city, but, the Village Drive entrance needs immediate action as well. As tax-paying residents of the city of Sparta, all of us on Allspice Court give this to you for immediate attention. This has gone on way too long. My last closing statement is that my wife and I would like to thank the City of Sparta Police Department for their outstanding performance of Vacation Watch as we were gone for 6 weeks last summer. Thank you. Chief Taylor, we appreciate your department, and to the City Council, thank you for your time and for listening to our concerns. Mike and Marcia DeMay. If you would like a copy of this for your records, you can feel free to make a copy. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Probably, you know, it'd help to get the request. I think that that's, Okay, Jody Robertson, would you like to come forward? Jody Robertson.
Hello. We're here, my daughter has a dog, she has an it's massive, and it killed a dog in its own backyard. And it's her backyard, our backyard. We've gone through great lengths to make sure that our dogs do not leave our yard. We've spent $3,500 to $4,000 on a fence, in-ground fence. And you can ask the officers, they know firsthand what we've done to go through. We don't understand why she has to be with her dog, because somebody else isn't following their ordinance of keeping their dog pinned up, and it comes into our yard. We don't know what happened, what took place. All we know is the dog was dead. And she's gotten rid of the dog. It's going to her uncle's. And she's asking if you guys would please allow her to bring her dog back.
Chief Taylor, can you kind of help chime in on this one?
I'm not prepared for this, but.
Oh, sorry.
I can go print the city ordinance. Basically, the city ordinance, I'm gonna step aside. The city ordinance says any dog that kills another dog. Bottom line. It doesn't say when, where, how, or anything like that. The city ordinance is a one-line thing that says any dog, and there's four different criteria for a vicious dog. And one of the criteria is if a dog kills another dog. That's what it says. There's nothing else to it. It doesn't say if it's on a piece of property or the neighbor's property. It just says, straight in one line, if a dog kills another dog, it is considered a vicious animal. And that's why we wrote that citation, and part of that ordinance says that the dog has to be removed from the city limits.
Okay, thank
But
you.
it's not like the dog went looking for trouble.
Like, we have a divider, it can't even get out of the backyard.
Yes, it cannot get in the backyard. Unless we put it in the front, well, then it can't get in the front to the back, because our fence is separated.
So was it in the front yard or the
It
backyard?
was in the backyard. That's usually where we keep them.
You guys can't vote because it's not on the agenda. They're gonna have to bring
we can do it next month.
Okay.
We have to place it on the agenda for our board to take a vote on it for you guys.
That's all we ask.
If you could, send me an email, and before you leave tonight, I'll give you one of my cards. Just send me an email, ask that you would like to be put on the agenda for next month, and then that way the board can actually vote on it then. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Margaret Daniel, would you like to speak?
I'm actually here for new business item B, so I'll wait till then.
Item B. Okay, I'm not sure how to say this name. Veneman?
That's me.
Is that you? Okay.
My name is Benjamin Gressa, and yeah, I just bought that house here in
Okay,
Sparta.
are you here on the 189?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you can address them when they go to take a vote or bring that up, then you can tell them about you being the new owner and stuff.
Okay.
That way we've got you covered, okay?
Okay.
Sure.
Well, we've got to follow it and,
Oh,
yeah. We will give you a chance to speak, okay?
Okay.
Okay, and then we have Deborah Brewster, but she's here for
Yeah, she's here.
item G.
Yeah, so she'll be called at the same time.
Okay. Chief Taylor, your report, sir?
Good evening, everyone.
so,
So, same thing that I always do, I kind of give you a rundown of how many calls for service we had, how many citations were issued throughout the city for the month, and the arrest, and compare that to the same month for the previous year. As you can see, we're about 197 calls shorter than what we were last year. We wrote 8 more tickets than the previous year, and in 2023 we had 12 arrests, and this month, or last month, we had 10 arrests. One of the items that I talked to you last month about was the inoperable vehicles that were around town, and at that time I told you there were approximately 90 vehicles that were inoperable around town. In the last month, I'm happy to say that 56 of those vehicles have been removed from the city limits or moved into a garage or outside of our area. So that's a huge improvement in my book to have 56 of the 90 been taken care of. We have issued 14 citations for those who did nothing to comply with that ordinance. We have given a little bit of extensions for those who have called and said, hey, I've got an issue and this is what the issue is. One person had a surgery coming up on the 26th. Another person had a family member pass away, then it was going through probate. So whenever they reached out and asked for assistance, we gave them a little bit longer time. Every 14 days, we go back and review where they were at in that process. Second thing I would like to talk about is over the last week, we've had a couple of people call and say that our officers are speeding through town, and I want to address that. I won't say that that's not true. I'll say that it may be very well true, and here's why. If we meet a car that's doing 15 miles over the speed limit, and you have to stop, turn around, and then catch that vehicle, there's no way that you can do that without speeding. So, yes, we do speed to catch up to that vehicle. The other option that we would have would be to turn our lights on and our siren on and make everybody pull off to the side of the roads while we try to catch that one specific vehicle. So for somebody around town to say that we are speeding through town, that is probably true, but that is why we're doing what we're doing. We have to be able to catch up to that vehicle to address the issue of that speed. So turning the lights on could cause issues. If you turn them on early, like I said, everybody would be pulling off to the side of the road, causing an issue. It also gives that person, if they were trying to run from us or if they tried to throw drugs or something out of the car, if we're not close enough to see it, that would cause an issue. They could dump it out, kid could find it roadside or something like that, which would cause more issues than us driving a little bit fast through town to catch a specific vehicle that is speeding. So it's also an officer safety type concern for us. So that's why we do what we are doing. And we are, like I told you last month, that we are working grants. Currently, right now, the Sparta Police Department is working 3 different grants. We have the Hazardous Moving Vehicle Grant. We have a DWI grant, which is being worked in the evening hours and into the night hours. And then we also have Child Safety Seatbelt Grant, which is going on. So there are a lot of officers right now working grant time to comply with the grant numbers that we have signed up for. The next grants, we have another grant that starts, Click It or Ticket starts May 20th and runs through June 4th. So we're constantly working these grants, so there are those times that whenever the officers are out working a specific traffic grant, that yes, there are those times that we could be speeding to catch up to that next car.
Thank you for that explanation.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, to the park board?
Yeah, so May 18th is going to be our next event, the movie night at the park. We'll put a survey on the Facebook page as to which movies people want to watch. There'll be popcorn, and there will be an ice cream truck, so look forward to that. And we're also planning the 4th of July event. So far we've got about 19 vendors lined up, so we're going to make it the largest one in history, most likely.
That's a good thing.
Yep. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What time was the May 18th?
What time is the May 18th?
It'll be at dusk, so about 8:30.
Around 8:30?
Yep.
Okay, there is no existing business. New business, discussion and approval of condemnation demolition bids for 189 Walnut.
Hello again.
Hello again. Okay, what should I say? Just bought the house, and I just want to remodel the house, or just demolition, and I got already all the plans, how big is the house is gonna be, and I'm planning to do the permits with you guys, because I did like 5 houses in Ozark, so
Right.
I bought that one more from here, so I'm planning tomorrow, I will get the permits, and in 1 month, the demolition will be finished. That's my words. If you guys accept that, that's good. Yes, I'm gonna get the permits tomorrow. It's good.
So you're gonna demolish,
Yeah,
okay.
with my guys.
So you're not gonna try to do anything with it as far as go inside or any of that?
I'm gonna demolition that, and
Okay.
I'm gonna see if the foundation is still good.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave the foundation, but it's gonna be a little bit extended house, and it's gonna be a brand new house. If the foundation is that good, I'm just gonna remove the foundation, we're gonna put the new ones.
Start needs, okay.
I guess that takes care of that.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, so we will pass on that.
Okay.
Thank you very
And if
much.
you would, please keep in contact with us.
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you.
He says he's getting the permit tomorrow.
Yeah, he's gonna get the permits tomorrow. Discussion and approval of plat for Melvin Smith dividing a piece of property.
Had to take them up and stuff.
We've already got those.
That's That's okay.
Oh, you do? Okay. I'm Margaret Daniel, I'm the surveyor representing Melvin and Andrea Smith on this project. As far as I can tell, I don't believe it actually impacts anybody other than Melvin and the tenants. The gentleman in 8063 is wanting to buy his residence from Melvin Smith, and to do that, we need to divide the two properties, or divide the two houses to different properties.
Are you talking about the house where they live now at the junction? Is that the one?
The 8063
Yeah.
is the house.
And then,
That's the north house of the two on the same lot.
8091, that's the little house, right? And then the
That's
garage
right.
is right behind it.
And then in the blue, there's two of them in blue.
Yeah, do you see that?
Okay.
Yeah, so we're just,
Okay, 804
yeah,
is
we're
there.
literally just gonna go right across there. And the front property is
804
gonna
is
continue that easement. That front property is gonna be is gonna continue the easement to get to the back property.
Correct.
Is that,
Yeah, I understand. I don't have any problem with it.
If you'll look attached to the piece of property they're referring to.
and that shows the easement and everything.
Yeah,
Sure,
sure,
this
it's
one.
This here.
yes. And if you look at there, that's where they want it divided, and then there's the easement.
We just need a motion to approve.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
I make a motion to approve the motion for approval of plat dividing the piece of property with Melvin Smith's. What was that?
Discussion.
8067 and 8063. All right.
I'll second.
Alderman Bushman makes the motion to approve the dividing of plat for Melvin Smith for 8063 and 8067. Alderman Campbell second the motion. Alderman Campbell,
Yes.
Alderman Orange,
Yes.
Alderman Hammond, Alderman Bushman.
Yes.
Approval of plat for Melvin Smith. Approval of dividing the plat for Melvin Smith has been approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We'll have that available tomorrow for you to pick up.
Okay, discussion and approval for May 8th. Now, the citywide cleanup is not just gonna be May 8th, it'll be.
Right, I had to put a date in there specifically.
Okay,
Um,
so this year, we're gonna put 2 great big large containers out at the water treatment plant, so that people can take it instead of
Big
one
stuff.
day pickup. We're gonna put the 2 great big containers out there for them to take their stuff to. And if someone can't participate and can't get their stuff to them, then we will send our guys around to pick it up and take it out.
That's good.
Gives us a little bit longer for that cleanup instead of just a one-time or a one-day event.
I'm making a motion to approve the citywide garage sale from May 2nd to the 4th, 2024, and the citywide cleanup on May the 8th or whenever, 2024.
second.
Alderman Orange makes a motion to approve the citywide garage sale for May the 2nd through the 4th, and the citywide cleanup to begin May the 8th. Alderman Campbell seconds the motion. Alderman Orange?
Yes.
Alderman Campbell?
Yes.
Alderman Hammonds? Alderman Bushman?
Yes.
The citywide garage sale and cleanup is approved. Discussion and approval of the invoice number 1 of the sidewalk tap grant.
Just need a motion to approve that. Okay. This has already been done and discussed and all that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just more than starting before we'll do the grant.
I make the motion to approve invoice number 1 of the sidewalk tap grant.
I'll second it.
Alderman Bushman makes a motion to approve the invoice number 1 of the sidewalk tap grant. Alderman Orange second the motion. Alderman Orange?
Yes.
Alderman Campbell?
Yes.
Alderman Hammond? Alderman Bushman?
Yes.
Invoice number 1 of the sidewalk tap grant is approved. Okay, discussion and approval for the Sparta Park Board to hold on. No, I jumped one. Discussion and approval to get bids for construction of a new building at Roller Park.
Have they got any blueprints?
I was about to. I should make copies. So we're looking at something roughly that's 45 by 60. You will have inside and access to men's bathroom, ladies' bathroom, men's bathroom on both sides of the building. There will be storage in between, storage on the back side, and then a small kitchen for the park board to have events, you know, so concessions, stuff like that. And then out here, we would have just a common sink area. And then a retractable wall here in case 2 parties were to, but this would be something that would kind of take the place of what we have right now, right here in the city. It would give us permanent bathrooms out there. It would give some, you know, people, they could rent it for reunions, they could rent it for birthday parties. So that's kind of what we had looked at. It also gives the police department and the ambulance and fire department kind of a home base, so you call it, during events and such.
That's gonna be awesome. And you said this is 45 by 60?
45 by 60 roughly, total, and the measurements are kind of in there.
That metal's actually come down some, you may be a little bigger than that, honestly. I think this is very,
You need to have an engineer.
Well, yes, you probably have to be, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Government money, it will, definitely.
I've got a thought, this is just a thought, and it's something I'll just throw out there. It may not be a good idea, but it may. But the basketball court out there, that's a solid concrete pad. I don't know how big that is. Does anybody have any idea how big that is? I know it's big.
I don't know.
Put a building on that.
How thick is that?
Put bathrooms out, you're gonna have
Well, you just have to,
jackhammer up your concrete.
well, you wouldn't have to, you could go on, I don't know how you had your bathrooms on each end.
Yeah, both ends.
So you could go on each end of it and add on to each end of that, it wouldn't mean that much concrete that way.
Well, I realize that, but you
And-
don't have to.
And then build your bathrooms on the ends.
Jackhammer up, whatever you want.
You wouldn't have to tear up any concrete out of what's
You're saying to
there.
add 2 on either side of it.
Yeah, add
But would
2
you
on.
want to take up the basketball courts?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I
mean,
don't
'cause
know
we
if
have-
you would or not.
I mean, yeah, the kids do use it.
Probably not, then.
I mean, I've been out there I know National Night Out, a whole slew of kids. And then Easter, I think Easter, we even had people using the basketball court.
Yeah, it gets used for sure.
Yeah.
It was a thought, and it, you know,
Yeah, and if it wasn't used, that'd be a great, I mean, it'd be a great idea. But we're just kind of looking to get bids to see, you know, what it would cost. That way when the event center sells, we can just move on along and hopefully get that going sooner than later. Because it's something we definitely need.
So you're gonna have to have your bathrooms drawn in and your handicaps and all your measurements on blueprint before that you ever take it to somebody to bid it. Cause they're just, you know, yeah.
I think what the mayor's trying to say is a bid to put up a building, because see, whoever bids that probably won't do everything. They won't do the bathrooms. They may plumb it in,
Right.
but they probably won't. There'll be somebody else that'll have to bid probably, I guess. I know when we used to build houses, we bid on building the house, and then somebody else come in and bid on doing the sheetrock. Somebody else come in and bid on doing electrical and things like that.
You're better off get one contractor,
And then let
bid
him,
it complete.
and then let him
And
set
it'll
it.
save you money,
Yeah.
cause you go here, 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 here. Don't work real good. Spent 42 years in that business.
You done a little bit of everything, ain't you?
Huh?
I said, you done a little bit of
I've
everything,
done a
ain't you?
little bit of everything.
Kind of like me, I've done a little bit of everything, a whole lot of nothing.
Well, we just need a motion if we wanna kind of move forward and get
To get
bids.
bids, I make a motion that we approve getting bids for construction of a new building at Roller Park.
I second.
Alderman Campbell makes a motion to approve bids for construction of new building at Roller Park. Alderman Bushman second the motion. Alderman Orge?
Yes,
Alderman Hammonds? Alderman Campbell?
Yes.
Alderman Bushman?
Yes.
Approval for obtaining bids for construction of the new building at Roller Park has been approved.
I will need a little bit of clarification. What do you guys want me to put it out for bids? Complete building?
Complete building.
Everything done?
Yeah.
Complete start to finish.
yep.
Okay. I will make it wrong.
But I'm like Alderman Orch, I feel that probably we may have to try to, and they, whoever bids it may sit down and draw it out, help, you know, plan it out or draw it out. You can, she had a good,
Well, I had her hand me this, and they usually, when I put it out for bids, they'll call and ask me if there's any
Yeah.
specifics. Is everybody okay with this kind of like drawing, and then they could start from there?
right.
We just have to make certain that the bathrooms are ADA compliant, that we have handicap accessible,
Okay,
on both sides.
okay,
That's what I would say for the men's and the women's.
okay. Got it.
The building will have the entrance to it too. Of course, I'd say it's ground level, but they'll have to make sure that the whole building can be got into by handicap.
Yes. Yeah, I'm hoping just to do a concrete slab and just, you know, run the concrete off a little bit, so that it could be easily accessible. Okay, discussion and approval for the Sparta Park Board to charge fees for the vendors for the 4th of July event.
So Valerie put this together, Mr. That's kind of the pricing breakdown that we're thinking of.
And we put this on there, just because the city of Sparta no longer has the peddler's license or anything on there. And since this is a city event, it did need to be approved by the board if we were gonna allow a fee to be charged per MML.
I'm afraid if we do this,
They're not gonna come. They won't come.
well, it's not only that, but it's gonna follow on past this. You know, everybody that, you know, we'll have to do it for everybody. Anybody comes in and sets up and does this, you know. Yeah, I mean, am I right or wrong?
You mean this was set like a precedent
Or is
on?
this just a one-time deal? It's gonna be like a one-time deal.
As it stands, it's a one-time deal, but
But
you
we
bring up
don't-
a good point that it does set a precedent.
And we don't charge vendors now for setting up, and that may be something they would complain to you guys about, because we allow the food trucks and stuff out here and we don't charge.
Yeah,
Right.
so I will point out that a lot of the ones that are, or most of them, if not all, are ready to pay. Like right now, they're okay with it. Since it's such a big event, you know, space is a premium, and so it's common practice to charge for those spaces.
You know, just talk to most of these, it's coming and they're okay with these.
The 4th of July event on June the
4th of July.
15th.
If it's just for this, I mean, just for that, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, if we're doing it just for like the 4th of July. And if you're gonna do it next year, you'll have to do it again next year, because you wouldn't wanna probably adopt a ordinance to do that, you know, all the time, because that's gonna really, it's really
Yeah,
gonna
we
be,
tried that.
it'd be rough on
And
you
the
guys up
citizens
here,
came and
yeah.
approved it. That's why we need to bring this to the board, because
So,
that's like a double-bladed sword.
so
Yeah,
this,
that's-
is this here now, they would collect it, or will it be collected through the city hall?
Well, they would collect it, but it would have to come to, it's gonna come to the city.
Then it
right?
goes back in the general fund, is that correct?
It goes into
It
the
goes
park.
Or in the park board fund? Yeah. Okay.
I
Does that not
did.
seem high to
But
anybody
they-
else for one day? Does that not seem high for one day? I mean, that seems.
Few hours, it's not even,
$100 and they're
it's
out
not
there
even
for
one
4 hours.
day.
From what I understand, it's lower than, say, Persimmon Days or like comparable events, Rogersville, Ozark, that sort of thing.
But we don't do persimmon days, we're not in, the city
Right.
has nothing to do with that.
Right, but as far as prices go,
Right.
it's cheap.
I just think, I mean, I'm just the city clerk, the secretary here, but I just think we're setting a bad example if we do that.
I just wonder how many won't come, but you said you talked to several, I guess.
Yeah, we have a sign-up form, and that's in there on the sign-up form, so if they made it through that, then they're
Right.
okay with it.
But we've also passed some ordinance, when was that? Passed where we wouldn't charge anything. You know, that's kind of going back on our board, you know.
Well, yeah, that's, I didn't realize,
Yeah, we voted for, I can't remember, I've got it right there, but
And 21.
21, that we voted not to charge.
Mostly.
well, if we did, I mean, if we voted not to charge, then it wouldn't be right to do this then to the people now, in my opinion. But I can't vote on it anyway, so.
Right. Because his daughter's on the park board.
My daughter's on the park board, I can't vote for it.
Well, and thanks, Jim.
I can talk about it, but I can't vote on it.
He has to abstain, so we can't even vote. We don't have,
Can we put this off?
Well,
Because we don't have Amy, and you can't vote.
Yeah, we could do it next month, but
I mean, I
That
know
would
it
be the
cuts it
last.
close,
That cuts it close.
or we could, you know, I don't know, set it for a couple days or something, I don't.
Well, if we've got an ordinance, oh, let me see that ordinance, can I?
Well, this is for the peddler's license.
Well, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Peddler, vendors.
Right.
You know, we all voted. Matter of fact, I was even. It's up to everybody else, but like I said, I can't vote on it anyway, so.
I can try.
And if we have to wait, then we could wait.
I mean, we could have a special meeting. I hate to do that to you guys, because they're gonna be on a time frame too.
Yeah, they need to know where they can tell their vendors what it's gonna cost them if they did this.
Have you got any vendors that you know will come now
Yes,
at this price? How many?
19, well, 24 actually, just got an update, so.
How many?
24.
24?
That many's on board and they're okay with it, I guess it's all
I
right.
know, but if that goes against what the board had
Right.
originally voted, and
Which means
that's
you
where
can-
I'm new. I want everybody protected.
Or do we pass them?
What about them doing it on a volunteer basis? I don't know.
Make a donation. I guess,
Donation,
yeah.
yeah.
Like a donation, they could do it,
I mean, I don't care either way, I just know that the board has voted no before. And unfortunately, fortunately, that's my job to protect my board.
If they were to word it, that
They could do it as a donation.
with $100 donation, you can set up a food vendor.
well, or what?
You're kind of playing with it there.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you were saying donations, so it would be hard to put a dollar amount.
Ask at McDonald's if you'll round up.
Yeah.
In Casey.
No.
And
I mean, if you can't make it work, then that's the way it would be.
I know, we don't mind, I've got to protect my board.
Yeah.
What I was saying, if people wanted, you know, they just have to understand they're not basically gonna be charged a certain amount, but if they wanna donate, they can donate.
Would you make a deposit?
Same thing.
What about, I know that in the past, and I can't remember which event it was, but they did a percentage, and I think you and I were on the board. They did a percentage of sales.
Yeah, they paid a percentage of whatever their sales were. And that eliminated this here, so whatever their sales were, they agreed to set up, and if their sales were $500 or $1,000 worth of sales, then they give the park board a percentage of that.
Yeah.
I can't remember how that's just something they'd have to figure out, what kind of
I
percentage.
just know that that's what they did when you and I were on the park board
Yeah.
for that one event.
I mean, if that doesn't go against this deal, that may be
You
the way
know,
to go.
I mean, doing something like that, I guess it wouldn't go against our ordinance, would it?
Right. I mean, we can't vote tonight anyway.
We couldn't.
Right,
We don't, yeah, because I can't get a hold of Amy. So
okay.
we'll just have to pass and then.
If we need to do a
I was
special,
gonna say, if we
call a
need to do
special meeting, we
or something,
can.
We'll get something
We all
done
live
for
right
you
here
guys.
anyway.
Everybody's on board with it.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, we can do it even maybe next week, early next week.
Yeah, because I know they'd like to get their
Okay.
vendors secured.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Discussion and approval for liquor license for the Sparta Eats and Meats LLC. And Deborah, would you like to come forward?
The park, where is it gonna be at? Which one, Rosalie? The park,
The 4th of July event?
oh, no, this liquor.
It's gonna be at the senior center.
Oh, I thought that was gonna be a dance hall, you said. No, that's what the last mayor said. Oh, she didn't. I was there when it was said.
Hello.
I hear that there's been a lot of online debate as to what the facility is going to be. And at one point, there was a discussion possibly as a dance a facility called Artistry Movement, which would have been from Pilates to dance to Taekwondo and different things. But I have 2 family members that are like national champions doing that, and I was trying to procure one of them to come out here, but just doing a lot of the research, they didn't feel they could draw enough from like the Springfield Ozark market. And the bottom line is that it would have just been way too much of a burden for my granddaughter to put us in that situation if she didn't think she could even make a contribution towards the mortgage and everything. And so we had to table that because she got cold feet. But we personally bought the building. We thought it just had good bones, that that there was something from I'll call it a retail service type of business, something that building could be repurposed and used for. And we've explored quite a few options, and to be quite honest with you, we're submitting this application kind of like preliminary, trying to get a feel if, obviously if the city felt like it was a good choice, essentially. But we've looked at a lot of different things, and me and my husband run all kinds of Excel sheets on every kind of business opportunity and do hundreds and hundreds of hours of research, and frankly, none of them seemed to shine over the other, so it kind of came down to, well, what do we want to do as we're hitting retirement? What might we enjoy doing versus what one potentially would make us the most money? And we felt initially, even when we looked at the building, anything that would from an event center to a food service to serving alcohol as well. And part of the reason why we feel that if we go that direction, the alcohol license is a must, is that we're convinced even with it, I'm quite honestly very nervous if I'm going to even make the revenue that it would take to be able to carry the debt service, the mortgage and the insurance and everything that goes along with being a property owner. And just as an example, we're paying $6,800 a year just to insure the building. So that's a lot of money. That's not counting the mortgage and everything else. So it's a tremendous debt service. And frankly, if we can't generate at least $1,500 a day, and that's 7 days a week, we will just barely break even. And we were so dissecting those numbers, and we have run a lot of businesses in our career, and revisit every single line item to make sure that we could open the doors and keep the doors open. And so the liquor element of it is purely that, one, it's hard. The building has a lot of limitations. It's very nicely from what it originally was. I saw the original photographs to what Corey did. It's frankly amazing what he did. But to do any kind of food related, it has a lot of restrictions, and I am not convinced at this point that I'm going to be able to make it through all the obstacles. And the biggest challenge is knowing that we have to get everything ultimately approved through the health department. Not only do I have to get certified as a food handler, and our background is owning civil engineering land development company. So I've never owned a restaurant, but I thought, if I could do a franchise, then I would have a footprint or a model to follow. But the problem is we looked at about 75 franchises, couldn't get anyone to even consider it because of traffic volume, parking limitations, you name it. There's, net worth requirements. Maybe they want you to have $1 million cash in the bank. I mean, you just don't even imagine every franchise company has all these criteria. So we knew that none of those were going to work. If we were going to pull anything off, we would have to be able to do it ourselves. And so we thought, well, what would this likely look like? And I really have been kind of holding it close to the chest, because what you don't want to do is present all these wonderful ideas and none of them that you're able to do like fabulously, but collectively it's still something for the community that people can enjoy. So, you know, our idea was that, okay, if we can integrate a limited food service. The big thing with the health department is that it doesn't have a commercial kitchen. And that is so much more involved. You know, the kitchen there is about 11 by 10 feet, more or less. And just in that, I have to have a 3-party wash sink, a hand sink, a utility sink for mops, you know, your cooking apparatus, your freezers, you just can't do it. And so whatever we would do, the menu would be very limited. So if that's the case, how do you get people to come by if you have a very limited menu? You really can't do a gourmet, you know, if I was a great chef or I hired a great chef, it's too limited. And we had several contractors. I've had lots of plumbers, electricians, you know, contractors look at things, architects, and I would literally have to deconstruct the building in order to make it a true full-service restaurant. Well, that's not financially even possible. So we're hoping to do a combination of entertainment, also have, you know, I would call it like a bar menu. Things that, you know, chicken tenders to, you know, all the kind of stuff that you might be able to get, you know, limited. I can't even quite honestly do hamburgers because all the grease traps and the ventilation and the, you know, fire suppression systems that you have to have. So it's like I'm really pouring through with different vendors what food I can buy and prepare. And that's why we're thinking we're going to really need to integrate, whether we're doing beer and wine, or like, I don't drink beer, but some, you know, I may drink 3 drinks in an entire year, if that. But if I'm going to have it, I'd like a margarita or something like that. So I felt like if I feel that way, surely other people might feel differently about what they might want to have as a beverage. And at the same time, you know, we're wanting to make it where it has some family elements to it. And I've been approached by another resident here in Sparta that they wanted to run for me, go with a brewery concept. And since we don't really go out drinking, she was telling me about it, that a lot of these microbreweries and different things, they families, they do extend to outside entertaining and games for the kids. So it's like a family environment, but yet it does allow, if someone's over 21 and they want to have a beer or have a drink and they're eating and just entertaining, or whether there's parties or events or, you know, however it might be used as a facility that can serve food and alcohol. And at the same time, we may even use caterers, you know, or food trucks and bring, you know, have the sales occur outside or run back and forth and figure a way to have different things on the menu. So again, we're just kind of going through this process, and we just think that it really boils down to, we got to make sure we can at least pay the bills. If we do invest in trying to put something further, I mean, you know, just outfitting that and stuff, it's a lot of money. And we're just, like I said, we were putting this out, you know, so that we could kind of make sure it was going to pass at this level, and then we still have to hit the hurdles with the health department. You know, in talking to them, I mean, crazy stuff that we have to worry about. You know, is at every faucet, is a certain temperature within when they turn that water on, and able to sustain it. Like the example, that building is on an on-demand system, and it may service up to 2 sinks. Well, we got 2 in each bathroom, any kitchen sinks. Now we have to look at, are we going to use portable sinks that run on pumps and, you know, heating elements that, you know, freestanding stations. But one sink like that's $2,000 for just one sink. So everything, it's so substantial and adds up so much, and we're just really trying to figure out how we can make it work. Quite honestly, if we can't pull together, you'll never actually see us come in with the paperwork from the state. I mean, I'll be communicating, But we may not get that far, because if we can't even go through the licensing till we can get that building to pass all the health and safety inspections. And again, it's not that it's not safe, but for food service, it is so high, the things that they're telling me that we have to do. And so that's just kind of our reluctance. So it could end up a furniture store if things don't work out. We don't know how it will go. You know, we have certain things that interest us that we could do with the building, but at this point, we're going to take this down the pathway as far as we can, and you know, see how things fall into place. And of course, there were the issue that, you know, I did submit the paper preliminary that the state requires that if you have anything that serves any kind of liquor, even if it's a beer, that 100 feet from any church or any daycare or, you know, places of worship, things like that. And your criteria was 300 feet, and it wasn't until after we bought the building that we found out the private daycare center, but they're technically at like 287 feet if you go to their playground. We were kind of, when we found out about the rule, we did our, you know, aerial as the bird flies, and it was actually 385, but we were doing from front door to front door. And I guess your criteria was because there was a child care, a playground that they could play with on the outside, taking it to the far end of the property line, which is how the playground goes to the property line. It made it 287 and a half feet, as I think was the number you folks came up with. And so it's a few feet shy of the 300 criteria. And so, again, I didn't even think that that was going to be an issue. But that, you know, it's little things like this. It's just a bunch of little things that we've got to press through to make sure we can even make it happen. So in a perfect world, I don't think we will have our doors open before July if everything comes together, because everything just takes time with all the licensing. And I can't even call a health inspector until I comply with building up the kitchen. You know, there's a lot I got to be willing to do to even see if I can even get the health inspection permit before I can go to the state for a liquor license, even come back here to officially solidify it.
So this is just kind of the preliminary.
Yeah,
we're just seeing
because-
if you can even get it.
Exactly, but if there was any obstacle with that, then there's no point in me pursuing all the other steps and going through all this modifications and things to the building.
Sure. And we've actually provided the maps and stuff.
271 feet.
Yeah, from property line to
Yeah. Property line to property line.
271.9 feet.
What about the church south of you?
Oh, that's much farther. Yeah, that's,
Well,
meaning it's much farther than the daycare. It's over the 300 feet. That part, we know for sure that was over the 300 feet.
It's over 300 foot away, the church is, but the daycare is what I would be concerned about.
well, it would, no. They have 300 feet, it's 300 feet, it's not 271. And the state requires 100,
Right.
yes, but the cities can do whatever they
Oh, of
want
course.
to.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, well, ours is 300, so,
My understanding, though, it was the decision of the aldermen, if they, whatever they felt was in the best interest of the city. So that's why, you know, we're just coming forward before we go too much down the rabbit hole ourselves in this process to know where, you know, where this is going to go.
There's an ordinance on that.
Our ordinance is 300 feet.
Just that's what I thought. Okay.
So it kind of seems that last year we can't do that because 3 or 4 again.
But it was preliminary, like essentially that, you know, because normally I found that your process is like, you would normally already have it from the state, but in this case, we're putting feelers out before I go through all that, you know, obviously efforts in spend money that would have to be spent in order to make it even come together.
In my opinion, and I'm just one, but we would love to see a restaurant and all that come into town. We definitely need one bad. If there's any way you could do that without alcohol in it, because I'm afraid most of the people in this town, they're pretty close and pretty knit. I honestly don't think it would do you a lot of good anyway, if you have alcohol in it, because most families around here, when they go out, they take their whole family with them, the kids and everything. So I would almost say they probably wouldn't, if there was alcohol involved. Myself, when our grandkids were growing up, we went out to eat. It's just me now. It's but if they served alcohol in there, I wouldn't take my kids in. I'd find someplace else to go. And there's a lot of people around here that'll be that way, I'm going to say, so.
At the same breath, the Mexican restaurant, as an example, serves alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine there's families that go in there to have kids that, or the people are going to the Casey's and picking up their 12-pack or whatever it is that they buy. So, in theory, I know that certainly they wouldn't have it if they weren't making the sales. It's just our opinion that the odds are literally, it's a tough road. It's about having to make sure it can pay for itself. Obviously, it's not to go into there and to have something become insolvent because it can't generate the revenues. And it's a mathematical from our point. And it does take, obviously a lot of effort on our part to even make any of it happen. And so, we're just like looking at all the options and saying, is this the way that it's, we should go? That's really it. It's.
According to our ordinance, it's, I don't know how long that ordinance has been in effect, but probably quite a while, I'd say. But it'd have to be, to be alcohol involved, it'd have to be at least 300 foot away. And according to this, it's only 271.9. So with our ordinance the way it is, we wouldn't be able to allow alcohol.
I would agree, obviously, the way it's written, I understand the point, but I also know it's at the discretion, of the alderman, if it makes sense, as far as all that goes. The reality of it is, generally speaking, when I would imagine that the restaurant would have the most activity would be weekends, nights, certainly not when kids are in daycare. As far as all that goes, from a practical, kind of common sense perspective as I see it. But at the same breath, I don't want to try to convince you to do anything. I already got $350,000 invested in that building. It will cost me another $200,000 to turn that into a restaurant with a bar. And when I say a bar, a beverage counter of some sort. I told my husband, I said, you don't even know with employees stealing. I said, I don't even I want pre-bottled beers, cans, whatever, because inventory control. So, I just think about these things as a business owner, so that's just part of what my thinking is on all of it. But if it's going to be a no, then so be it. I don't want to continue to waste my energy, if you can appreciate it, and all due respect to myself. because, you know, we're gonna part with a lot of money to go forward on this. And, you know, there's a risk, as any self-employment is, but, that's again why I asked Tristan, you know, if we could kind of put this in and just kind of determine it. I mean, just in fairness to myself, and no sense, you know, investing that time and energy if it's not what the community wants.
Well, the reason that Casey's sells beer and liquor, they was there a long time before daycare was there, a long time before anybody else was there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason, they grandfathered in.
Right.
So,
No, and I get
you know,
that.
You know, that don't hold water.
Mm-hmm. And I totally understand that. I mean,
And I'm just like Jim. I don't want liquor close to the daycare. That's not a good deal.
Well, another problem would be, and I mean, you gotta look out, further out too. We got a small police department here. We don't have a large, lot of officers here. And, you know, we have problems, and liquor always brings problems. It just does. And, I'm afraid it would, be overworked with the officers that we have. But I have to stick with our ordinance that we have in place. It needed, if it would, you know, if you'd been over 300 foot away from the daycare, you know, it would have probably worked for you, but I'm gonna have to stick with our ordinance, I think.
We just need a motion one way or the other.
Okay, how do we need to word that? I mean,
Well, you either approve the liquor license for them or you deny it.
oh, for the liquor license?
Yeah. And it also says in our ordinance, that in no event shall the board approve the issuance of a license for the sale of liquor within 300 feet of any school, church, or other building.
So we can't change it anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
no problem. I appreciate figuring this out right now. I mean, obviously.
Well, I hate it on your part, I mean, because, you know, you've spent a lot of money to, you know, and everybody was in hopes, because we first heard when it was bought that there was a restaurant going in, and it's like, whoopee, yeah, we need a restaurant. Need a good family restaurant here, you know. I guarantee you put in a family restaurant there. We, every Sunday and probably once or twice through the week, we drive to Ozark or Springfield or Nixon to go eat.
No, I believe
There's no
it.
places around here to eat.
Right. I totally understand. I wish that it would not, that it could be modified at some reasonable cost, but the health department criterias.
Yeah, they make it hard.
It's like kind of overwhelming, and even if this was going to work, we were going to have to do what would have been called a portable, it's similar to a food truck, but they actually call them mobile kitchens. They're much larger, and it allows you to, you know, have this entire extension of your kitchen so that you, if the building can't be retrofitted, you know, that you can then do other things. But, you know, on a good day, one of those costs $90,000, and that's like a cheap one. So, you know, and that's only one drop of what we have to do. So I'm just afraid that the food service thing is just not going to work out, and I'll have to figure out where I go from here, you know, with the building. But I won't take any more time. I appreciate your time.
We appreciate you
Thank you.
Thank
bringing
you.
it to the
I just need a motion. I just need a motion.
To not approve.
Deny.
Okay. I make a motion to not approve the liquor license for the Sparta Eats and Meats LLC.
I'll second it.
Alderman Campbell makes a motion to deny the approval of the liquor license for Sparta Eats and Meats LLC. Alderman Orge second the motion. Alderman Orge,
Yes.
Alderman Hammonds, Alderman Campbell,
Yes.
Alderman Bushman.
Yes.
The liquor license for Sparta Eats and Meats LLC is denied. There is no closed session. And then under miscellaneous business, we were just gonna, Alderman Campbell just kind of wanted to touch base on the inoperable vehicles and kind of what he's heard and gotten feedback on.
Well, I've talked to Officer, forgive me, my name, I tell you, names just don't stick in my head very long. But anyway, this ordinance, the way the ordinance is on the inoperable vehicles is written up, and I probably would have never brought this up and said anything about it, because the guys were doing a good job about getting everything cleaned up. I commend them for that, and I don't have any problems with that. I've just had people come to me and say that they didn't feel like, because their vehicle still run and drove, it wasn't considered an inoperable vehicle.
I don't know.
What is it?
You're doing, you're
Oh,
preaching.
okay. We were trying to figure out where that was coming from.
I'll keep my hands up here. And I noticed in the ordinance here, it said, note, the police department views the above city ordinance as follows, and they're following what the ordinance says. I agree with that 100%. In any vehicle that cannot be driven on the roadway, city or state highway. I contacted a state person, and they assured me that an inoperable vehicle, how they look at inoperable vehicles is a vehicle that does not run, is maybe no wheels, tires on it, and one that does run and drive. And if it's like I said, well, we've got some here that will run and drive, but has no license plates or insurance on them. They're just sitting as an extra vehicle, and they're just keeping them for that. The mayor and I talked about this a little bit, and we had some thoughts on it, but and our thoughts were, is it all right if I say what we talked about?
About the fee? Or?
Yeah. If somebody has a vehicle that they don't want to get rid of it, they want to keep it, but they don't want to keep insurance and license on it, in which I can kind of understand it. If you've got 3 or 4 vehicles and they're insured and licensed, and you got one you don't want to get rid of, but we talked about it, and I thought, well, if they want to keep it, then they got to come to the city hall and get a permit, 3-month permit, pay a fee, and get a 3-month permit if they want to keep that vehicle.
I have too many cars, I'm not doing that.
It doesn't include you. You're in business.
All my stuff runs, but I have a lot of personal crap too.
You have a business, just like me. I have vehicles, you know.
Right.
And the thing of it is, but there's people here that
I get what you're getting at, Jim, yeah, I guess they wanna keep them, they can't move them, so, I mean, in that case.
well, I mean, if they still run and drive, they're not considered an inoperable.
Right.
That's according to state. They don't consider them inoperable. they consider them as being not legal to drive on the highway, but they're not an inoperable vehicle. And I understand, and I appreciate what the police department's doing on that, because they've made a big impact on that, and I appreciate what they're doing on that. I'm not coming against them at all. I'm just saying that some people are thinking that it was going too far, and it ain't their fault. It's the way it was written up, and they're just following the ordinance of how it's written. They're not doing something, that they're not supposed to. So I didn't know if there was something we needed maybe to change that to where, if a vehicle still runs and drives, not to say it's an inoperable vehicle.
Well, how long does it have to sit before it becomes an issue? Because a lot of people, old timers especially, no, I'm gonna rebuild that one day, it's been out there 30 years. But there's other guys that have parts cars because they have, a classic or something, and they say, no, if I wreck this, I'm gonna have a parts car.
Well, what I'm saying is, if it's setting, and it is it's hard, and it'd be hard for them, too. I understand that. If it doesn't run, it's inoperable. I'm just saying, if it doesn't run, it's inoperable. I'm going to just keep me for parts for another vehicle. That's an inoperable vehicle.
I get it, but people buy those 4 parts for other old classic cars,
Yeah, but
look at Gene Sanders, he buys those things as junk,
yeah,
and he makes beautiful machines out of
Yeah.
them, but.
He's out of the city though, so.
Yeah,
Close, yeah.
that law, state law, is like $100 or 100 feet from a church, school, or whatever, but the city has got a 300 foot. That's the reason they put, I assume. Or I'm speculating that that's what the board that passed this had in mind, so,
Well, it was just brought to me to mention that and see if it could be changed, and I said I would bring it before the board and talk to the board, and I did that, so if nobody wants to change it, they want to leave it like it is, why, so be it.
I don't know what I guess I don't understand what you're getting at, Jim. I don't think a person should have to pay a fee to keep the car, I guess is all I'm saying.
I think what Jim was saying is maybe reword the ordinance. The only downside of that is if you reword it and start putting exceptions or put, accept this or accept that or accept this, then any person that reads that is going to interpret it the way that they want to interpret it. Just like our ordinance now. I mean, people can read it and they can interpret it, 100 different ways.
And they're already dealing with that already. Anyway.
Right. So if we start changing it, then it's just gonna, it's gonna
cut
throw
it
more.
on throats.
Exactly. It's gonna throw more backlash on us because we're gonna try to.
Shouldn't you go by the state rules? Shouldn't you go by what the state rules are?
No, the city actually sets their own rules for ordinances and stuff. So once the city puts that ordinance in place, then our city ordinances overrule any state ordinances.
Oh, I see.
That's just like the place they wanted to put the liquor. The state says 100 feet from a school or church or whatever. The city says 300. And that's because that, that's the same way with the cars, as far as I'm concerned. You start changing stuff, you're going to get in hot water any way you go about it.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think it should be, personally, I think it ought to be left alone, but I did promise I would bring it up and talk about it. So,
that's what you did.
Mission accomplished.
So from now on, guys, I'm just gonna warn you ahead of time. They come down there cursing me and telling me that this is gonna be done, I'm gonna give them you guys' number.
That's where they should be coming in the first place.
All right.
Well, I try to deal with things without involving you if I can, but sometimes you can't.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
I second.
Mayor, may I make one additional comment quickly?
Yes.
Okay, and this is in regards to the residents of Allspice Court. We are basically asking that that sign be removed, city maintenance ends here. There's no reason for it whatsoever, okay? And number
The
two,
state requires them
I don't
to
know.
mark them.
Yeah, I think
The
so.
state requires them to mark them
But-
because of the ambulance, police, fire department, so on and so forth. They have to have an address and a street name.
I don't understand. If we has an address and a street name, what are we talking?
Yeah, he was talking about the,
Allspice
the
Court.
maintenance.
He's not talking
Oh.
about, he's,
Allspice Court, there's a sign there that says city maintenance ends here. The residents are requesting that be removed. Okay, there's no
just
reason
the
for it.
city, he,
No, we can put that on the next meeting. They can't vote.
But that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
just.
He was just
Yeah,
letting
Bringing
us
this forward from the residents that live there. There's no reason for that sign to be there. It's a city street, okay? Number one, and number two, it should be treated like any other street in the city,
The thing
okay?
to do is the street
And number three,
name.
the street needs work, okay? We have beautiful homes there, and it looks crappy because of the street that you're saying doesn't belong to the city, and we're right in the middle of the city, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
we put that on the next
Yeah,
month.
it can go on
Yeah.
next month. Sure can.
Alderman Orange makes a motion to adjourn. Alderman Campbell, second the motion. Alderman Orange,
Yes.
Alderman Hammond, Alderman Campbell,
Yes.
Alderman Bushman. The regular legislative session closes at 7:28 PM.